Welcome to Good Morning Hospitality, your one-stop shop for the latest news, noteworthy trends, and thought-provoking discussions across the industry. From hotels and short-term rentals to all things travel and hospitality, you'll find each episode equips you with the information that you need to start your week. Join us on Good Morning Hospitality every Monday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning.
Ty.
Happy Monday.
Oh, it's tie number 2.
It's going to be a good week. I can feel it. Big things are happening.
It's going to be a great week. I already know it's going to be happening. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
Jamie Lane, welcome back. How was the 4th?
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Yeah. Stayed at a great short-term rental this past weekend up in North Georgia. Not my own.
Okay.
Sort of
Why would you do that?
Scouting some competition.
Is this considered rental arbitrage of like renting my own unit for like $3,000 for the weekend and then taking my family up and renting a unit for like $600 for the weekend?
It's called vacation arbitrage.
Vacation
arbitrage.
Yeah. Like it was great.
I love that. I did that when I rented my house out during football games. Just grabbed that arbitrage.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I just have a freeloader renter staying with me.
It's okay.
This cat hasn't paid rent once in 9 years.
Hey, and you got 9 lives with that too, so good luck.
I know.
Good luck. How was your guys' weekend? Golden, you and the boys have some fun with the fireworks and all the good stuff. What'd you guys end up doing?
Yeah, I went up to Atlanta. Didn't bump into Jamie. I did bump into Andrew McConnell though. Small world.
Yeah, very small world.
So yeah, went up to Atlanta to my dad's club and had different activities. The kids absolutely loved it. I don't think Oliver ate dinner. I think he just had 5, maybe 6 desserts, but
sounds about right.
He survived. He made it through. No meltdowns, which was absolutely a miracle. But and then Elliot was on a sugar high as well. No meltdowns though.
That's honestly what
Super
a 4th of
impressed.
July miracle, because usually
100%.
that is a recipe for disaster.
Yep. So we made it through.
100%. What about you, Brandy? You and Mia do anything fun or?
We had a great weekend. I did another morning session at Space, and then like our morning workout, and then we came back and I made an incredible lunch of like Momofuku does their noodles that you can buy, and I did like shaved Korean beef with a soy cured egg yolk. It was very good. And then we played like Mario Party. The four of us did for like 3 hours, and it's just really fun, kind of like getting back into kid things. You know, it was just relaxing and pretty chill. So, and then fireworks, I don't know. Miami was doing 4th of July fireworks all weekend, sometimes during the day, which I didn't really understand that reasoning, but a lot of fireworks.
Lots of fireworks. I love it.
Quick fun story at a vacation rental story is like the magic of the industry. Our kids experienced what DVDs were for the first time, blew their mind that there was these CDs and you could put them into the TV and that it played a show.
I feel really old.
I was going to say, wait until they find out about VHS. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. But I bet they're freaking out. What was like one of the first movies you guys put on DVD?
We watched Shrek.
Oh,
Shrek, let's go.
Great choice.
Yes.
I used to know that.
Oliver asked me recently if when I was alive, was it just black and white TV?
Brutal. What about you, Will?
So good. Yeah, a good weekend. I barbecued and cooked out for my friends and their kids. So my best friend and his wife, they just had their second about a month ago. So first outing, coming over to the house, barbecued. And then we went to a park that was packed and let the kids play and the dogs go and watched fireworks. It was a fun time. I was the funkel of the weekend. So basically just sugaring up the kids and making sure that they had meltdowns before they left. So just kidding. But no, it was a lot of fun. My niece is 3, so she's just getting super into everything and just very expressive and really fun. So it was a good weekend, but
fun age.
We have fun age, tough, especially because she's very sassy. but she's very much her own self. She's her own personality. We have a lot to talk about because I think there's maybe some misunderstanding in the industry on some topics that have happened in terms of recent updates from Airbnb. But before we do that, last week, for all of our listeners and live viewers, we announced that we are the official Guesty podcast for their conference in Mexico City in September called Guestival. So if you're a Guesty customer or not, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be a Guesty customer to go. You can actually attend. There's many, many great speaking sessions, and the Good Morning Hospitality crew is going to be walking around, capturing some live interviews, some breaking news, and of course, many main stage conversations. So get your tickets at guestival.com. You can also grab the links in the show notes. We're going to be promoting them consistently throughout the coming weeks leading up to Guestival. So shout out to Guesty for having us become their official podcast partner. All right, Jamie, I want to start with you because before we get into the data and the numbers, I think maybe you can give us some context into this Airbnb policy change updates in terms of cancellations and payments. Give us some color, and then share what's kind of the chatter in the industry to what the actual info is, because then we can break it down from there.
Yeah, and we were chatting a little bit before the show and about the sort of echo chamber that is maybe industry LinkedIn. And whenever there's been quite a few policy updates, right, from Airbnb coming out this summer around cancellation policies, payment policies, the like. Maybe a hot take here is that a lot of people have been sort of posting about sort of three things that are sort of major changes. One, being liable for guest chargebacks. Two, that guests can book without paying. If they don't pay by 72 hours before a check-in, then Airbnb is going to cancel it. And then that Airbnb could cancel or adjust payouts at its discretion. So lots to unpack on all three of those. But one of the ones, and I thought that, and as I was reading through the policy changes that and I think was misinterpreted wrong, was around the guests could book without paying. And then if they don't pay within 72 hours of check-in, Airbnb is canceled. This, I think, all is related to Airbnb testing new buy now, pay later, where guests can sort of book and then they sort of go on payment terms to sort of pay before the check-in. And the policy relates to that they have 72 hours after one of their payments are due to complete the payment or is going to get canceled. And that this new buy now, pay later policy does not actually supersede the host's cancellation policy, and that all those payments are actually due before the cancellation policy would actually check in. So, and one, I think it's really interesting that Airbnb is finally testing buy now, pay later. It's been an option, I think, for Booking and Vrbo now for a while. And I think broadly reflects and that affordability for guests is still top of mind, and they want options on when to pay, and that the ability to book now and sort of pay over time. Like I feel like that's offered almost everywhere now when I buy something. So I think ultimately Airbnb offering that is a good thing, and it's going to take some time for us to adjust how these sort of policy changes are actually reflected.
Yeah. And I just think that, there was Vrbo for a long time you could put a certain percentage down and pay later, and that was fine. And then the other thing is that it really doesn't necessarily impact you because you don't see that money either way until after they've checked in or checked out. So it's not affecting your cash flow, and it's not 72 hours before they arrive. It's based on their payment schedule. So I do agree with you that there was a lot of crisis mode around this, but it really shouldn't impact people because it's not impacting your cash flow.
Yeah. One of the updates that I think is as a traveler, I'll say two updates as a traveler that I really liked. One is the 24-hour free cancellation component. Mm-hmm. And we all talked about this before the show, particularly on flights with Delta. I've booked and been like, oh no, wrong dates or wrong airport, or I don't need to do that trip anymore, and been able to cancel. And we haven't been able to do that on Airbnb. to date. So that's a huge one. It's a win for everybody. I mean, as a host, if you lose a booking you just got, it's not a big deal. And as a traveler, it is a big deal if you book something and you can't get your money back. And the other component of that is if you are a new listing now moving forward, there is no more strict cancellation policy. You're no longer allowed to enable that, which tells me in the next year or so, they're probably not going to allow anybody to have it. They're kind of
slowly taking it away,
dipping their toe in the water now and training people. But again, as a traveler, strict cancellation is brutal. I totally get it though, for those long lead time, highly condensed peak places. So Aspen during Christmas and New Year's, you don't want someone to cancel that 1 week out, because that's a 3-4 month lead time at least, right? So some of those long lead time markets are going to be suffered or will suffer as a result of the strict cancellation. So if you're a traveler, don't be a dick. And if you're just holding several places, don't do that. It's not good or helpful for anybody. And it only hurts the industry as a whole.
Well, I also wish, so on booking.com, you can have refundable and non-refundable rates, right? So I think that, you have a strict non-refundable policy and it's cheaper. And then you just have to roll the dice on that. I think that would be a way that you could kind of solve, for both sides. And if you
do you guys do the buy now or pay later, like the strict cancellation or not?
Like as a traveler or as a host?
Booking.
Yeah.
As
Oh,
a traveler,
it depends on the trip. Like if I'm dead, I'm booking it last minute for tomorrow night, I'll just obviously do the non-refundable one. But it kind of depends.
a
Yeah.
lot of the hotels directly have that option as well. So it's not just the OTAs.
Oh yeah. It's very much more common on the hotel side. And I just think it makes a lot of sense. Do you want the cheap price? Well, then there's a cost to that. There's pros and cons to every pricing model. And I think that Airbnb should try to roll out different rate plan strategies at some point.
I personally, as a consumer, love hotels because of the fact that I don't pay until I show up. And so the fact that, Airbnb or short-term rentals hasn't really been able to do that, it's kind of okay, it's not fun because I don't like paying. I'm a cash sensitive person where I don't like to give out money in terms of buy things ahead of time. I don't like the money to be gone before it really is there. I'm very strict on my budgeting in that way. And so paying for something 6 months ahead or 3 months ahead, I hate it. I'm like, oh man, it's just not how I like to operate. So anytime I could pay closer to the arrival date, I would be that guy.
Oh, I'm the opposite. I like to front load all my charges before I go on vacation, as fast as possible. And then when you start the vacation, you're everything is paid for.
It's a free vacation.
Especially if they're giving me a discount to pay now and not pay later. I'm with you 100%, Brandy. Let me go ahead and pay for the flights 3 months in advance and the hotel 2 months in advance. And
but
instead of that calling that girl math, we're going to call that traveler math.
Math.
I paid 3 months ahead, so it's free, right?
We've got traveler math and vacation arbitrage. We're coining two terms.
We're coining new terms today.
But I think that really, we've been on LinkedIn in the last week, and you just see everyone freaking out, which happens every time there's any sort of update. And I think that the main point is the one that we make pretty much anytime an OTA makes a change is make sure you have a diverse OTA mix so that you're never too heavily reliant on one OTA, and that these are the rules that they're setting, and you can be upset about it. And there are certainly things that are not advantageous to hosts here, but Airbnb is not going to change their practices. They are the bigger giant in this situation. And so if you want to put more money into your direct site, or if you're not on booking.com or Expedia, maybe now's the time to try, or Marriott or whatever, maybe now's the time to try to diversify your OTA strategy.
Yeah.
So much so that Airbnb even wrote in their update, if you don't like these, you can delete your account. So
Yeah. They don't care.
you.
They
Yeah.
don't care.
It's totally up to you.
So what I thought was
Amazing.
interesting, pulling some data around it, like as much in the US, 1/3 of listings have a strict cancellation policy. So this isn't a small number that have this policy. And some other ways I cut it, like by location type, assuming that it was mostly like in these markets with really long lead times that would like have the majority of people with listings with strict cancellation policies. That wasn't the case. Still a large percent in urban areas with shorter lead times still have strict cancellation policy. Good mix between large property managers and individual hosts that are using the strict cancellation policy. So it is widely used out there. And what Airbnb is trying to push people to, because when you look at the actual cancellation rates, they don't vary a whole lot. Like it's not like, and you're setting yourself up for a whole lot less cancellations by having the strict or firm policies. And then sort of last point I want to make was around if you're a property manager, how this is potentially good for you. Like as Airbnb makes more and more of these sort of policy changes, like if you have a large percent of bookings coming direct or through other channels, like you're able to offer homeowners that option. Like if the homeowner really wants that strict cancellation policy associated with their home, like the only way now to get that, if Airbnb does away with strict, is to have the bookings coming through other channels. So any property manager's ability to actually drive those direct bookings, especially in those markets with long lead times where strict cancellation policies can be really helpful, like that's now increased the value of all those property management companies in each of those markets.
Well, yeah. And what you'll see is people start blocking their calendars on Airbnb 3, 4, 6 months out for Aspen during Christmas week. I'm going to try and get a direct booking. And then 90 days out, I'll turn it on. So Airbnb is probably leaving a significant amount of money on the table there. I'm curious. I'm not curious as to why. I know why. The guests don't love the strict cancellation policy. But if you're a high value, long lead time market, you got to have it. The other point that just hit me while you were talking, Jamie, the average host, like when I rented out my primary residence for football games in Auburn, I needed a lead time because I had to clean my house and get out. Like I can't take a booking 2 days in advance or 1 day in advance or even 4 or 5 days in advance. I had to start the cleaning process, move some stuff, put stuff in the lockout room that we locked off. So it even kind of runs contrary, not just to the Aspen Christmas houses, but your person that's doing it to make their mortgage and it's their primary residence or even owner occupied residence. So yeah, I think there's probably some happy medium from strict 30 days out or 14 days out or 7 days out that makes sense that for a lot of people in a lot of markets. But those long lead times, I mean, that's your pace. And we've talked about it on the show many times, but pace has significantly declined over the years, really since COVID. It's just condensed and condensed and condensed to the point that people are getting fairly comfortable with not having a whole lot of bookings next month because last month they came in 14 days out or 7 days out.
Yeah. I like what you said there, Michael. And to also what Jamie, what you said earlier, I think this is the cool part that you were able to flip the coin on the freak out, because when I was property managing or being a property manager, that was a weird way to say it. When I was being a property manager, the thing that we always got asked from owners was like, how's your Airbnb account? Are you in good standing? Blah, blah, blah. Like, what type of revenue do you generate from them with your other homes? What can we expect? And obviously they only cared about Airbnb because that's where they heard about us from. A friend has an Airbnb or was managing an Airbnb or whatever. They stayed at one. And then they, somehow find their way to you. And the cool thing I think about this now is like you can push your direct channel more and more. And it is now becoming more of an upsell and actually like a differentiator between you and other property managers, because a lot of the time back in the day, especially before COVID, people it was just like, yeah, I can get you bookings anywhere. It was like, I can get on Vrbo today and get your property a booking. I get on Airbnb, get you a booking. It didn't matter. So to have your own brand channel and kind of showcase that, and alongside the other channels on what your ADRs are looking like or what your rates, it's a good way for property managers to dive into their brand, into their data, and to showcase their own channel. Because if Marriott's becoming a channel, and Capital One's becoming a channel, and Chase Travel's becoming a channel, and all these things are becoming a channel, and you're not becoming a channel, what are you doing? You should become a channel. Stop cleaning toilets and just start becoming a channel. Actually, I'm going to tell everyone to become an OTA. That's
I do think that the point that out of all of these things that kind of raised, I don't know, my hackles a bit is the chargebacks and being able to alter payouts, because as the merchant of record, that is like, they have control over all your payments. They own the guest. Basically, they own the transaction. But now they're also saying that in some cases, they're going to pass on the risk of being the merchant of record to you, the host, and they can alter your payouts. And I know that, before off camera, we talked about that there's, different reasons for this. Like if there's faulty listings and they're getting all these chargebacks, and it's at their discretion, but that's all. That's it. It's at their discretion. It's based off of Airbnb's decisions, and then they just continue to have all the power around payments, and so they get to have all the risk and reward, and then also pass off some of that risk to you when they see fit.
What say you, Jamie?
No, I don't have any visibility on the issue of chargebacks. Like that is one that I've definitely seen the liability issue now being payment of record for Vrbo and some of the other channels with my own listing of like, and then now with Airbnb, like I'd be interested to see if it becomes an issue. I suspect it's like Airbnb wanting to get more hosts like on the hook for fraudulent, faulty listings, like, and like, all right, you got to actually prove that and the guest stayed, help us fight this chargeback, and not just sort of leave it to Airbnb to tackle themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's only one party that wins in that case, and it's Airbnb. Like as a host, there's zero upside in having a black box of I don't know when I'm liable and when I'm not, and I don't know when I'm getting paid and when I'm not. Pretty terrible feeling. So
yeah.
As Paul Manzi just said too in the comments, no predictability, no scalability. So I can see, that one side too. Be nerve-wracking.
Yeah, but that, Brandy, that is as you said, that is the reality with other channels with direct bookings. Like you got to deal with that. Mm-hmm. You just thought that because you got it through Airbnb that you could sort of set that as guaranteed revenue, and that there's not that risk associated with it, and that's part of what you're paying with that 15% service fee, right?
Why people rail on Booking.com and have for years in our space, because they're like, we're not merchant record, it's all you guys. Yeah. And now Airbnb is moving towards being more like Booking, and in this case, what we talked about earlier, being more like Hopper. So Hopper's competitive edge is gone, but I think that's a strange one. That's one of the big value adds for listing on Airbnb is they're the merchant of record. It's also a big detractor, as we saw during COVID. They kind of get to choose what to do with your money. So.
Yeah. But so I guess we'll continue to see this evolve, and I'm always curious to see how our little bubble on LinkedIn will react to things. So continue to watch
How big is our bubble going to get this week? Is it going to get big or small?
But we did just have a holiday weekend. So Jamie, is there anything interesting and fun you can tell us about the 4th of July markets? Anything that caught your eye?
Yeah. Could we just vote as a group, as an industry, that 4th of July should always be on a Friday?
Yes.
Because the amount of bookings that came in this holiday weekend was absolutely a record. And last year was on a Thursday. We sort of didn't see as big of a pickup. But overall, so just as a context, in June, overall occupancy for the industry was down about 1%. Was actually better. Like going into the month, we were pacing down about 2.4%. So we did see some good pickup in June. But then for 4th of July weekend, we saw occupancy up 3.1% year over year. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. So that was amazing sort of growth. And number one location type for growth was beach markets, occupancy up 5% year over year. And so we pulled some data on which market actually saw the highest occupancy for U.S. market for 4th of July weekend. And I gave you guys sort of pre-show the sort of top 20 markets and was going to see if everyone wants to guess before I give the number one market last weekend.
It's hard to bet against the Florida Panhandle. So
I was going to say I'm
going to choose the Destin market.
All right.
I'm with Michael. I can't go against
I feel something in the like the Outer Banks, like that whole Myrtle Beach, that stretch of people.
I can see that.
Or the Michigan lakes. Those are my three bets.
Oh, so, those are all great.
Destin was number 6, coming in at 87.9% occupancy. So pretty good. Outer Banks was number 2, coming in at 89% occupancy. And number one market for this past weekend was Door County, Wisconsin. So that like shut out into Lake Michigan. Essentially the whole market sits on a beach.
Never heard of her.
90.2% occupancy, up 6.2% year over year. So
incredible.
Yeah. You know, I think a lot of people sleep on those portion of the Great Lakes, but like up there, like in Michigan and parts of Wisconsin, like it is gorgeous. The water looks like Caribbean water in some places. It's crazy. So
people sleep on it though, because it's like a one season market. So it's pretty tough to build a great business. I know there's some great businesses up there, but it's challenging to manage cash flows for 6 months out of the year at least.
Yeah. That's like the whole Northeast.
On your comment of being down 1% and then up 4 or 5%. Our hotel that we manage in Virginia, 2 weeks ago we had 0 bookings for 4th of July weekend, and we ended up 100% occupied. So 22 rooms booked within a 14-day period, giving Paul Manzi an absolute heart attack.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were like, what's going on? It's a holiday weekend. Are people just going to the beach and not into the mountains? But ended up all right.
Yeah. What was crazy though is there's so many markets that actually saw occupancy declines. So it was over like 100 markets that actually saw year-over-year declines. So it's sort of that leisure business mix of like when you're in more urban markets, like not necessarily going there for 4th of July. So that's why beaches did so well. Mid-size, some of the large markets actually saw pretty big decreases. So, New Orleans.
It's been so tough.
New Orleans was down 19%.
Honestly, it's so brutal. New Orleans has been really tough. I mean,
why do you want to go to New Orleans in July though?
It's honestly so we have 4th of July weekend is Essence Fest. So it's like the one weekend where you're like, okay, this will sell out. And like everything else is awful. It's been so hard. And the whole city is struggling with it. Like it's really, really tough. I mean, and the summer is usually not great. Obviously that's just like, exactly why do you want to go to the swamp in the summer? But even more so this year, it's very tough, very tough. And we're trying to like, okay, it's like, do we go for occupancy and really cut rates? And we tried some things and we got some horrible guests. And then, so now you're trying to like bring it slowly back up. But if you go on any OTA and look at New Orleans, it is, now's your chance to come to New Orleans. Things are pretty cheap.
I was going to say, it sounds brutal.
Discounts. We have come for 2 weeks. We have length of stay discounts.
So, Michael, the big question is, did you guys hold rate or did you discount a lot going into the weekend?
Held it. Didn't change it.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, Love it. Worked out. I mean, we've seen that since we took it over in May, that our booking window is less than 14 days. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. Makes sense. 22.
Well,
You said 22 key. Yeah.
I even have noticed, this is obviously anecdotally, but my own personal travel habits have totally changed. Like I used to be very big about planning everything really far in advance. And now like I'm going to Scotland for a wedding Labor Day weekend, booked the tickets, and we're just kind of looking at where we're going to stay. And like, it's just like, there's no urgency to that. And it's in less than 2 months. So it's, even my own, even as an operator, my habits have changed.
Same. I love it. Well, very fun discussion today. And thank you to Paul and Heather for commenting on the live. You guys are cracking us up back here with some of these comments. Can't deal with that heat or that stress, Michael, for real. I love it. I love the live engagement. Fun episode. Comment in if you're hearing different things around all these policy changes. And of course, like always, like and subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform, on LinkedIn, and of course, our newsletter. But until then, any fun plans for the next week, you three? Anybody? Bueller?
It's just going to be a big week. I can feel it. I can feel it.
I'm going to be in Chicago for Destinations International Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then whole family's flying up to Maine on Saturday morning. We'll be up there, me and family, for a week, and then Elliot and I staying for an extra week for him to go to camp up there.
That's fun.
If anyone's near the Bar Harbor, Acadia National Park area and want to grab lunch, hang out on the boat, let me know.
I love it. I'm coming out just for that. No, it's really cool. Really cool. Same old for you too, Brandy and Michael.
Yeah, same old. It's just marinating in this Miami heat.
Marinating.
Don't have to ask me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's going to be a big week. I can feel it in my bones. So hope you all have a great week. And thank you for everyone for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.